We're kickstarting the bulletin with some big breaking news coming in. Terrorist attack in one of the army units in Nagrota area. We understand that Nagrota is in Jammu district. Contact has been established with terrorists. The army has also cordoned off the area. Firing has begun from both sides. So there is at this point an encounter underway with the terrorists. Let's go across to Ashwini joining us on the phone lines with more details. Ashwini, over to you. Get us up to speed with the latest.
Yes, this is the initial reports coming from the area that Nagrota is near the quarter. This is a army unit on the national highway, on Jammu Kashmir national highway. There is a terrorist attack on the unit, and initially the terrorists came and they fired on the guard of the unit and established contact. Immediately there was indiscriminate firing on the guards, and the area has been cordoned. The JNK police, SOG, Special Operation Group of JNK police, they have reached there, and the area has been cordoned. This is the old Nagrota area where the army movement is mostly there. There is a main headquarters, and the firing is still going on, and they are ascertaining that how many terrorists have tried to enter the camp, but firing is still going on from the both sides. Yeah.
Ashwini, also a quick clarification. Have the terrorists managed to enter? Have they managed to breach into that army unit, or is the firing underway from outside?
Yeah, this is very difficult at this moment because the terrorists a very big area, and the army area is there, and most of the people there are army people, and the contact has been settled. But initially the terrorists fired the grenades on the guard of the unit, and it was around 5:30 or 6, but time is still not known. But the old area of Nagrota that has been cordoned, and movement of it has been restricted because there is a army movement is there, and the special operation group they are also reached to assist the army. And still there is no confirmation from the army because they are ascertaining the fact what happened there.
Okay.
And fighting is going on between the terrorists and the army. Yeah.
All right, Ashwini, request you to stay on with us. Also joining us on the phone lines now is our executive editor Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, good morning. We're getting in breaking news from Jammu's Nagrota area, where we understand that there is an encounter underway between terrorists and the army. But particularly what we're seeing here, Gaurav, is a trend of sorts of terrorists targeting army units in Jammu and Kashmir.
This is a trend that had started some time back, and each target is very carefully chosen. Nagrota is the White Knight Corps headquarters. This is where all operations against terrorists are planned in all of Jammu, Poonch, Rajouri, Bimbargali area, all the way up to Pir Panjal. Nagrota is a very, very important location as far as army's deployment is concerned. There is a Lieutenant General who is deployed there, who masterminds all operations south of Pir Panjal. And the fact that terrorists have chosen this place to target once again points to the fact that terrorists are constantly choosing their targets very carefully and looking for one weak link where they can try and strike. Of course, given the way army is deployed and they have quick reaction teams, they will hit back at these terrorists. But it just goes on to show that, just yesterday, Pakistan's ambassador to High Commissioner to India was saying that Pakistan wants peace and Pakistan wants dialogue. But that's the question, that can all of these dialogue take place amid these firing guns?
Absolutely. Gaurav, request you to stay on with us. Also joining us on the phone lines now is Mr. M.M. Khajuria, the former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Khajuria, explain for the benefit of our viewers the strategic importance of this location, Nagrota, which is in the Jammu district.
You see, Nagrota is headquarters of a very high military formation. It's bang on the national highway, and it's barely 13-14 kilometers from Jammu, the winter capital of the state. This is a high-value target, and the very purpose of this is to show that their capability to take us on. And another important factor we notice is that the change of guard in Islamabad, in Rawalpindi has made no difference. In fact, the next man seemed to be as keen on pursuing the old policies as the earlier was. And it appears also that there are two power centers probably operating in Islamabad, either in conjunction with each other or separately. Because while the civilian government keeps on talking of peace and amity, the army or the people who are in control of the army, they have other agenda. And we have to, therefore, have to recognize both these dimensions and deal with them adequately.
And Mr. Khajuria, as you pointed out, is really, really telling, because today is the day when the new Pakistan Army Chief will be sworn in, and we're seeing yet another terror attack. Mr. Khajuria, time and again, in the last few days, we've seen some sort of an outreach from Pakistan for talks with India. They've said that they're open for talks. They've opened up corridors as well. But when attacks like this happen, how can there be any sort of peaceful dialogue is the question.
You see, I don't think Pakistan is interested in a peaceful dialogue because they have somehow got a perception that they are made out of tent in Kashmir Valley. And they just want to keep the pot boiling and keep the international public opinion on the page, Pakistani page, saying that there is a struggle for freedom going on there, and these attacks are by the freedom fighters, and Pakistan has nothing to do with that. But that is a lie which has been exposed again and again. I think we have to keep on doing that.
Right.
And this is a situation in which we have to deal with Pakistan in all fronts, whether diplomatic, military or economic.
All right, Mr. Khajuria, thank you so much for speaking to India Today. Let's get in a quick word also from Jugal Purohit, who's joining us over the phone lines. Jugal, Mr. Khajuria as well as Gaurav have pointed out to us the strategic importance of this area, Nagrota, because there is an army unit present there. There's huge army presence really in this particular area.
Well, Nagrota is a home of India's 16 Corps, which basically looks at the area south of the Kashmir Valley of the entire Jammu region, very roughly speaking. This particular incident, we are given to understand, began slightly before 6 a.m. and it seems to be a Fedayeen suicide attack on this army medium regiment location. We also are given to understand that the army has cordoned off the area and has been actively engaging the terrorists. But at this point in time, of course, we have to await a word from the army as to just what the outcome is. But the fact is that this is an area which has been attacked. This is an area which hasn't been attacked in a long time, actually, from now. We've seen skirmishes at the border. We've seen skirmishes taking place at camps near the line of control.
Yes.
But this is a Fedayeen attack which has taken place inside the heart of Jammu. It's a very vital location for the Indian Army where the attack has taken place. Back to you.
Okay, Jugal, stay on with us. Also getting a quick word from Gaurav. Gaurav, as Jugal pointed out, this particular area has a huge army deployment. There is an army camp, an army unit that's based out here. But if these terrorists did manage to infiltrate into that army base, and that's something that's not confirmed at this point, but if that has happened, it could lead to a lot of questions on the kind of security or on the kind of really bordering that we're talking about in these army units.
What's been happening all along, if you see, the Jammu sector has repeatedly been targeted, whether we talk about Samba, where terrorists crossed the line of control of the international border, hit out at 16th Cavalry some years ago, or the fact that they came into Hiranagar some years ago. So there is a pattern that these terrorists follow. This time they've managed to get in deeper. It isn't one of the locations right at the LC or the international border where they're stuck, but they traveled up to Nagrota, which itself is about an hour's journey or half an hour's journey from Jammu town. So it does goes on to show we will have to wait. Now, the information isn't that they've succeeded in entering the camp. The information is that they've engaged the security forces. The security forces, by and large, are extremely alert at the periphery of their camps. There are quick reaction teams. The fact that, as Jugal was saying, they've been engaged by this medium regiment's, quick reaction team. There'll be other teams who will try and corner them in one area. You also have the special forces not very far from there. So that way, whether it's the Ghataks, the infantry, platoons, or even medium regiment's own QRTs, they will take on these terrorists. It depends we were still waiting for some more details where these people are. And
Yes.
if you look at these images that we are playing out on a television screen, some of these officers who are now getting into this area with whatever they have, they're going to take them on as quickly as possible. The aim in such an attack on any military location is to take down these terrorists before they can spread out in any area and neutralize them, corner them, and then neutralize them. So it just remains to be seen how quickly the army can spot them before they are taken down.
All right, Gaurav, stay on with us. These are visuals that we're playing out. First visuals coming in from Nagrota from earlier in the morning. These visuals are, of course, deferred by an unspecified time, but you can see heavy army deployment present there. There's a lot of activity in Nagrota currently. Jugal, at this point, we know that there's very sketchy information coming in, but any word really on how many terrorists are possibly present there? All right, we'll get to Jugal in a bit. We'll try to connect with him once again to get us more details on really what's happening in Nagrota, on the latest details. For viewers who are just joining in, this is news that's just come in of an attack near an army unit in Nagrota. Nagrota is in Jammu district. This is a place where there is a very crucial army unit that's present. Ashwini Kumar joins us over the phone lines once again. Ashwini, if you could give us more details on what's coming in or what's trickling in from Nagrota. Do we know exactly how many terrorists are present in the area?
Yeah, this is an initial report that 2 to 3 terrorists are in operation. This is a suicidal attack at around 5:40 a.m. in the morning. They fired first grenade on the unit, and there is an officer mess also nearby the area. There is an area of firing range of the army, and initially they suspected that the army themselves, they are firing and they are taking practice in the area, but later on it was confirmed that there is a terrorist attack, and continuously the area has been cordoned. They wanted that at least they will be neutralized. And what is the condition inside, how many people are injured, how many people are dead, still is not known. And this is a lifeline of the army in the Nagrota area. You can see that how the army is cordoning the area, that CRPF and Special Operation Group of JNK Police has also been there. Okay. They are expertise on these terrorist attack, and Army Commando Special Operation Group, other people plus the QRTs of the army has also cordoned all areas, all different areas of the Nagrota area, and the traffic movement on the villagers have been stopped, and the operation is still going on. Yeah.
All right, Ashwini and Gaurav, request both of you to stay on with us. We're going to have to slip into a short break. On the other side, we continue tracking the latest in Nagrota, where there is currently an encounter underway. 2 to 3 terrorists reportedly are present in the area. The Army Commandos, Special Operations Group, all of them are present. They're engaged in heavy gunfire with the terrorists. All the latest information breaking here on India Today on the other side. Stay tuned. Let's go across to Jugal Purohit, who's joining us with the latest on this. Jugal, Ashwini did give us details of the kind of operation that's currently underway. Army commandos are present there. This is Special Operation Group also. At this point, we understand this army unit is also situated along the national highways. That definitely will be a cripple because they will have to block all traffic movement as well.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, these visuals that we are playing out, these deferred visuals also tell you the same story. But more importantly, Akshita, the fact is that the Nagrota is the headquarters of the 16 Corps of the Indian Army. 16 Corps of the Indian Army looks at the entire Jammu region, and then of course the 15 Corps looks at the Srinagar and the Kashmir region. An extremely vital place for the Indian Army. An attack like this taking place has all the hallmarks of a classic Fedayeen attack, where you see terrorists using the cover of the changing over time between Jawans, their ships, and it's a time when the night turns to day, and the Jawan and the terrorists try and exploit that change in getting inside. We've seen this happening in Uri. We've seen this happening in several such Fedayeen attacks in the past. This particular attack, though, the army for now is completely sightless because it does not want to let out any details. which can be relayed, of course, and seen and used by the handlers of the terrorists, who very often are seen in communication even as the attack unfolds. So the army is extremely tight-lipped, but what we understand for now is that this attack was the first contact was made at about 5:45 a.m. That's the initial information that we've been able to piece together, though we're still awaiting full clarity. And it's been 2 hours. Now, very typically speaking, Ashita, such attacks generally do not last for more than an hour or two. And it does tell you that this has actually continued for a far longer time. It depends on the kind of area that they are in. It depends on the kind of territory that they are occupying. It depends on the kind of terrain that the terrorists are in. For now, what we understand that this is a medium regiment, which means that it's a artillery regiment of the Indian Army which has been attacked by the terrorists. But we need to await further details. Also, extra important note, this is a territory which is not, of course, too far from the border, and we've seen that this area of the Jammu region seems particularly vulnerable, and this will happen increasingly as we see snow blocking routes in the upper reaches of the Srinagar area, of the Kashmir region, terrorists using the riverine territory in the Jammu region to infiltrate and carry out these attacks.
Right, Jugal, request you to stay on with us. Also joining us on the phone lines now is Major General G.D. Bakshi. General Bakshi, over the last few months, we've been seeing many attacks really on army camps and army units along the LOC, but this is different because we're looking at this taking place in Jammu district, in Nagrota, and as my colleague Jugal pointed out, this is strategically very important because the headquarters of the 16 Corps is located in this area. Do you think it was a very, very targeted attack clearly by these terrorists, and that's why they've strategically chosen this particular location?
Don't forget that when Parakram took place, they had focused their attacks by and large in this area. The fact is that there are a large number of nalas which cross the border from our side into Pakistan and which Pakistan uses for infiltration. Now that the upper reaches would have started getting blocked with snowfall and otherwise, the attempt to infiltrate shifts towards this side of the border. And Pakistan is persisting with its terror attacks. And the fact is that in so doing, it is now risking escalation. Two can play this game. If Pakistan wants to continue further, the simple message of the surgical strike was that if you can cross the line of control at will, as you think, wherever you want and whenever you want, well, so can we, and
Absolutely.
you will pay a price. Not
Absolutely.
just this side of the border in terms of the casualties that will be inflicted on the assaulting terrorists, but also across the line of control. Pakistan will pay for every single Indian body that falls.
Absolutely.
Pakistan will also have to shed blood.
Absolutely,
That should be
absolutely.
absolutely clear.
Absolutely. General Bakshi, also in your expert view, our sources are telling us that this attack took place at about 5:45 in the morning. It's been nearly 2 hours now. What are the real challenges that the army faces at this point? Do you think territory also is something that could work against them here?
Well, the pre-dawn attack, is especially targeted to catch our people a little off guard. Because this is the time when, the last guard is going in and, the normal routine is about to start. And therefore, this is a vulnerable period. You will find most of the attacks come in this pre-dawn period. When the guard tends to be a little low because of the changeover, the transition from day to night that takes place, and you have this period of vulnerability. Quite obviously, they have exploited this. They have managed to sneak through, but the situation will crystallize shortly.
All right.
I'm sure our boys would be able to pin them down.
Absolutely.
And eliminate them at the earliest.
Absolutely. General G.D. Bakshi, thank you so much for speaking to us and sharing your expertise really on this story. A quick roundup really of the developments of what we know has happened so far. From what our sources have told us, this happened at about 5:45 a.m. Terrorists, 2 to 3 of them is what our colleague Ashwini told us, reportedly threw a grenade on the guard of the army unit and they started firing indiscriminately. This is reportedly also a suicide attack. The terrorists have come from the Srinagar side of the national highway. This unit, of course, is on the Jammu-Srinagar national highway. It's about 15 kilometers from Jammu. Strategically very important is what everyone's been telling us, because we know that the headquarters of the 16 Corps is based out of Nagrota. This remains our top focus at the top of 8. Slipping into a short break. Right back with this breaking news on the other side. Stay tuned. Our focus at 8 a.m. this morning remains on the big breaking news of a terror attack on one of the army units in Nagrota area of Jammu district. An encounter is currently underway. Heavy gunfire has been reported in the area. The army has also cordoned off the area, which is situated along the national highway. The firing is currently underway. These are first visuals from Nagrota. They have been deferred by an unspecified time, but you can see heavy activity in the area. Going by what we know at this point, the firing began at about 5:45 a.m., which is when 2 to 3 terrorists, reportedly heavily armed, lobbed a grenade at the guard of the army unit. Let's get in more details from Ashwini, who's joining us over the phone lines now. Ashwini, if you could give us details of what we know about this particular attack.
Yes, this is a major attack on the army unit in the core headquarters area. General area is the core headquarters area. The army, for the last 26 years, this is the first attack in this area, and this is a major attack. And how the terrorist has attacked, because of Fidine, that the suicidal, they have to attack the unit, and probably the initial report said the terrorist has come on the vehicle from the Srinagar side of the area, that because the movement is from that area, and they first immediately came. Time was around 5:45, and they attacked the guard of the unit, and and the grenade was lobbed on him, and there was immediately firing from the terrorist side, and the upper guards they immediately fired on him, and the firing is still going on. Whether they have entered the army unit or not, it's not known, because the area is the army area, and the old Nagrota road has been cordoned immediately, and the traffic movement even it has been closed, and most of the vehicles have been allowed on the flyway area of the new Nagrota area, and Army senior officers, the Special Operations Group of J&K Police, CRPF, and the J&K Police, they have reached there. The area has been cordoned, and they are just going near the unit, and the army unit, those who are inside the area, they are also firing on the terrorist side. And till now, we have a report 2 to 3 terrorists have attacked the army unit, but how many have been killed by now, it's not known, because army is doing a penetrating action on the terrorists, and they are capable of doing it. I think very soon they will be eliminated, and how they are trained, how many terrorists are inside the area. They have been directed that there should not be any casualty from the army, even though if they will take time, it can be linger on. That is not a problem, but the terrorists should be neutralized. They should not escape from the area, because this is some forest area also, and they can go. There are some nalas also backside of this unit,
yes.
And there is an officers' mess also there, and how many officers were there, in the mess, it has to be seen, but the operation is still going on. Yeah.
All right, Ashwini, request you to stay on with us, because we're getting in more breaking news. Initial reports coming in of an army jawan who's been injured, as well as a JC, which is a junior commissioner, who's been injured in this particular attack. We do not have any details of whether the terrorists have been injured, have they been killed at this point. The encounter is still underway, but initial reports of casualties coming in. A junior commissioner officer has been injured, as well as an army jawan. So that's the latest details that we're getting at this point on this particular terror attack that's happening in Nagrota. Ashwini, quick detail from you as well. Territorially speaking, this is along the national highway, and we understand that there could be a few challenges that the army faces in eliminating these terrorists because of the landscape in that area.
Yeah, that is a challenging job, but the army is capable of doing these things because they know their area. But this was a big plan by the terrorists, and they must have done a recce on this area. And before that, they can't enter the area. And there is a traffic movement is very less also on the old Nagrota area. And because the new Nagrota has been constructed and the flyover is there, and most of the vehicles are going from that area. But only the civilian, the people, those who are resident of the Nagrota, old Nagrota area, there is a movement of these people. And army has already requested the civil authorities that they should be, all the people should be checked here, and the area has been cordoned, and the vehicles from the old Nagrota area has been stopped from the Srinagar side and also from the Jammu side. And most of the traffic has been diverted to the new Nagrota area from the flyover area, because the most of the traffic is on this Jammu Srinagar National Highway, and the Vaishnavi pilgrims are also moving from these areas. These people have been diverted from the flyover. Only the civilian people, those who are resident of the Nagrota area, they have been told not to move out of the area because there can be any threat to their life also. Yeah.
All right, Ashwini, stay on with us. Also getting a quick word from Jugal. Jugal, earlier we were discussing the strategic importance of Nagrota and why possibly terrorists have targeted this particular district. Of course, as you pointed out, the headquarters of the 16 corps is present here. But besides that, also when we were speaking to Major General G.D. Bakshi, he did mention that many drains that pass through Nagrota also lead into Pakistan, and this is situated along the national highway. So geographically speaking, this is a strategically important location. All right, before that, let's go across to Gaurav Sawant, our executive editor, who's now joining us. Gaurav, if you can hear me, if you could give us details to our viewers on why this particular location, why have terrorists targeted Nagrota, what is the strategical importance of this area?
Nagrota is a very important location. It is the headquarters of Army's White Knight Corps, or 16 Corps, as you were pointing out. There's a 3-star general, as we can also see in those images. The 3-star general personally going to one location where this encounter is taking place. What we know is that it is from this point that all operations, whether counter-terror operations or line of control operations from south of Pir Panjal, Poonch, Rajouri, Bimbar Gali, that entire area, Naushera, Jammu, those operations are all planned and executed from orders that are given at the White Knight Corps or the 16 Corps. This is strategically located on the Jammu-Srinagar highway. It is bang on the national highway on either side of the Jammu-Srinagar highway. Very, very sensitive. Usually terrorists try and target, who infiltrate from across the line of control. They try and target any military location very close to the line of control or the international border, like they have in the past, whether it's been in Samba, whether it's been in Hiranagar. But this time terrorists have come in deeper. Now there are some indications that seem to indicate that these terrorists came from the Jammu-Srinagar highway, from the Srinagar side. We are still waiting for more clarity because there are a lot of intelligence inputs that are coming in and that did come in, but until these terrorists are neutralized, we will not know for sure. What we do know at this point of time is that a contact has been established. These terrorists were trying to enter a medium artillery regiment location. They engaged the security team at the gate. There was an exchange of fire. The terrorists have split. They could be between 2 and 3 in number. An engagement has been made. A contact has been made now. It will be a matter of time before these terrorists are neutralized, because once a contact is made, most of the army gets to that location. The terrorists appear to have split up, is again something that we are learning. But the quick reaction team of this location and 2 other locations are already there.
We also understand that the Army Commandos, Special Operations Group, all of them are present. But Gaurav, give us a perspective really on this army unit. How big is this army unit? What kind of area does it cover really? Do we have any details on that front?
an entire corps headquarters is located in Nagrota. These are various military formations. It's a very big army, unit. A unit is an entity, a small entity which has about 800 soldiers. This is an artillery location. People who have cannons to take on the enemy. These people, a medium artillery regiment indicates that these are 155 mm howitzers is what they have. But terrorists usually look for wherever the periphery is the weakest. Whoever their scouts may have been, terrorists, they must have seen which is a weaker link to target, because I know the security of this place is extremely tight, and especially after a series of terror attacks at military locations, and especially after Uri, you heard Defense Minister Manohar Parrikar say that he's ordered an audit of all military locations. Even after Pathankot terror attack, that national audit was done at all military locations, and security at Nagrota had also been strengthened. Additional barbed wire fence, concertina wire, all of that was brought in. But somewhere there is a weak link which terrorists try and exploit. If you recall, sometime back when the terror attack had taken place in Kashmir, terrorists crossed the Jhelum river and then targeted an army unit. The information this time is also they crossed a Nala and tried to target a military location. We are still waiting for more details, because most of the army and their quick reaction teams are engaged in neutralizing these terrorists before they can spread out and cause more damage.
And that's something that Major General G.D. Bakshi also did point out, Gaurav, that there are many drains that pass through Nagrota that also connect to Pakistan. Do stay on with us. Also joining us on the phone lines now is Lieutenant General Agarwal. General, what do you make of this news coming in? We've seen over the past many months that these terrorists have been targeting army bases across Jammu and Kashmir, but those have particularly been along the LOC, and this is in Jammu district, way further down, which means that the terrorists have managed to infiltrate deep into Jammu and Kashmir.
Firstly, this is not Lieutenant General Agarwal, it's Lieutenant General Jaswal.
My apologies, General Jaswal. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I've served as the Chief of Staff there and I know terrain very well. And I've been visiting the Nagrota cantonment lately. Yes, absolutely. Audit of that area has been carried out, and stringent security measures are in place in Nagrota. There is no doubt about it. But there are various avenues which are available for the terrorists to come in. Wherever Tavi flows on a particular flank, from there. And let me tell you, you can go in for any amount of security parameter being put in place. Certain gaps would definitely come up. At this particular area per se, there's a lot of open flank. There's a lot of jungles around. And the main aim of the terrorists in striking the Nagrota cantonment is basically to say that, well, we have reached right up to the Nagrota camp. They had attacked earlier in Udhampur. There was earlier ID blast in Udhampur sometime back. Sometime it's quite a couple of years back. Now they have come into Nagrota. Nagrota always was, I would call, a focus point for terrorists to try and attack. And they have carried out an attack, and I'm sure they'll be decimated. The troops are definitely alert. I've been visiting Nagrota cantonment a couple of times in recent times. And I find that the security is very good. The people over there, they have taken stringent steps. I mean, just to quote, for instance, if I had to go through the gate also and produce my identity card, the Johnny was so good. When I asked him, I said, I'm General so-and-so, ex-army commander. He said, sir, can I see your identity card? I appreciated that. So that's the kind of awareness which is there. And but terrorists can sneak through. In the darkness, they can sneak through something.
And really, General, that's what I wanted to point out here, because from what we know, at about 5:45 in the morning, nearly 3 terrorists is what we're being told. They were heavily armed and they managed to lob a grenade at the guard of the army unit. Do you think that the location really is a handicap? Because we're talking about, of course, many drains that pass through this area. That's something that General G.D. Bakshi also pointed out to us. Besides that, the national highway is also present here. So do you think all this played out against the armed forces?
Yes, of course. You see, because this is, the cantonment is along the highway, the old highway. Now there's a bypass. But there are a number of nalas which come down and drain into Tavi. Anyone can come from across Tavi. There's absolute
jungle beyond Kavi, that area is beyond Sidra colony, I remember it's called, I'm forgetting the name. Anyway, notwithstanding, and people can come across. And anyone like a bypasser, wearing woolen clothes, if he suddenly throws a grenade at someone, and thereafter he attacks him, well, the sentry can be surprised. Of course, we have pair of sentries, we have layers of sentries, as a matter of fact, the perimeter patrols which are going on. But at the point of impact, at that stage, because the strongest point of a terrorist is he has the leverage of initiative, strike first.
All right. All right, Lieutenant General Jaswal, do stay on with us because we're getting in some other breaking news at this point. We understand that suspicious movement. All right, so suspicious movement has been noted by thermal images. This is in Chamlial in Samba sector. The area has been immediately cordoned off. BSF patrol was fired upon by miscreants who were holed up in a tube well pump house in the fields in this area. In fact, BSF parties retaliated and gave a fitting reply to the firing. At this point, we know that the firing is still underway. This particular area falls very close to the fence and the international border. So suspicious movement that's been noted on the thermal imagery there. Let's go across to Jugal Rohith for more details on this. Jugal, over to you.
Well, Akshita, just to put things into perspective, on one side of a 60-kilometer divide is where Nagrota is, where we're reporting this particular exchange of fire and the army cordoning of the area and taking on terrorists who are holed up inside this artillery unit. On the other side of the 60-kilometer divide is the area in Samba, which is at the southern end of the Jammu and Kashmir state. At Samba, the BSF is informing us that at about midnight they've seen certain suspicious movement taking place. It was fired upon. This movement was seen by the night vision and thermal imaging devices. This movement was fired upon. The BSF party went there, and some of the miscreants were hiding in a tube well from where they fired back at the BSF. And that firing, I'm given to understand, is still continuing. Now, it's too early to perhaps make a link between the two, but as I said, it's happening in an area which is about 60 kilometers away from each other. And we're talking of instances which were seen close to 8 to 9 hours ago. So it is very much possible for people, for terrorists to have infiltrated and moved, though we can't possibly say that. But there are two attacks which are simultaneously unfolding in the Jammu region, one in Samba where the BSF is taking them on along with the police, and the other in Nagrota where the army and the other forces are taking them on. So that's what's happening right now on the ground in Jammu. The information also suggests that one Jawan and one junior commissioned officer of the Indian Army have been injured in the Nagrota attack, which is still unfolding, and that's the reason why the army obviously does not want to say much more.
Right. So we'll keep a close track of what's happening in Samba as well. Jugal, stay on with us. Gaurav, there was specific intel, wasn't there? And every year this happens, which is when winter comes in. These terrorists try to make most of the challenges that are faced due to the season. We'll go across to Gaurav in a bit. We seem to have lost that connection with him. But this is the latest news that's coming in, even as we're tracking the terror attack that's taking place in Nagrota, in Jammu. There's another similar encounter that's underway in Samba's Chamlial area. We understand the suspicious movement was noted by thermal imagery. There were certain terrorists, in fact, hiding in a tube well. This is along the international border, mind you, and we understand that the BSF forces are now engaged in an encounter, engaged in gunfire with these miscreants, with these suspected terrorists in Chamlial of Samba sector. So two quick unfolding situations there, one in Samba sector along the border and another in Nagrota of Jammu district. And we're keeping a close track of both. In both areas, we understand that the encounter is still underway. All right, let's get in a quick word again from Lieutenant General Jaswal. General Jaswal, you were, of course, telling us about how really the situation is unfolding in Nagrota, considering the security there. What we're witnessing in Samba, really, this is clear of terrorists making the most of the weather, of the challenges that are faced due to the winter season. It happens every year, and that's where we're seeing heightened infiltrations across the border.
Yes, you should understand this Jamlial area also. Again, there are a lot of rivulets over there, small rivulets which go across into Pakistan. And there's a lot of sarkanda over there. The weather is bad. There's fog. You can't make out a person moving 5 yards away at times. So there are a lot of areas through which they can come. But I'm very happy to say that the BSF was absolutely alert and they could straight away detect them. The philosophy which I personally feel is that if in case the guys are holed up in a tube well, you should not waste time in trying to engage them like that. Fire a rocket launcher, destroy it. I mean, we get too involved in, firing small arms, and thereafter, they fire a burst, one of our boys gets hit. Why? Once we have surrounded them, fire a rocket launcher, destroy them. That should be the philosophy over there. It's just a recommendation. So it is very much possible in that area because the sarkanda, fog, the rugged terrain in that area, escarpments, etc., all along the border, that gives very good avenues for the people to crawl through the initial line and get through in that area.
And that's exactly what we're witnessing here as well, because we're seeing, of course, that there's a tube well pump house in these particular fields, which is where these suspected terrorists are hiding out, and that's possibly given them some sort of cover really from the BSF patrol. Also joining us over the phone lines is Major General P.K. Sehgal. General, your opinion really on what we're witnessing, two encounters taking place, one along the international border in Jamlial in Samba sector, where BSF patrol is currently firing at suspected terrorists who are hiding in a tube valley in the fields, and another in Nagrota, which is of course strategically important because this is the headquarters of the 16 corps. Nearly 3 terrorists said to be in that area. There is an active gunfire in both these areas. All right, we're going back to what's really happening in Nagrota, where we understand now the latest details that we do have is that 1 Jawan has been injured and 1 junior commissioned officer has also been injured in this particular attack. Remember, this happened at about 5:45 a.m. in the morning, which is when 3 terrorists came in. They lobbed a grenade at the guard of the army unit. This is, of course, the headquarters of the 16 corps. Immediately, the army responded. They've managed to ensure that they engage the terrorists in a massive gunfire. We understand the Special Operations Group, the Quick Reaction Force, all of them are currently present at that spot. Unfortunately, of course, news coming in of a Jawan as well as a JCU who have been injured in this particular attack. The encounter is still underway. It's been nearly 2.5 hours now, but the encounter still underway. These terrorists are clearly very, very heavily armed. First reaction coming in. Let's go across to Major General P.K. Sehgal. All right, so we'll continue our coverage of what's happening in Nagrota as well as Samba. 2 encounters currently underway in Nagrota. 3 terrorists engaging in a gunfire with the army there, right outside an army unit, the headquarters of the 16 corps. All the details and the latest updates on the other side of First Up. Stay tuned.